Well, temperatures are sweltering all up and down the East Coast, particularly here in New York today, but I don't have to tell you that. The question is, can the grid withhold these temperatures? We're going to bring in right now Tom King. He's National Grid U.S. president. That's the second largest utility in the U.S. by customers. It's also the largest transmission provider of electricity in the New England and New York areas. So, Mr. King, how is business and how is the grid right now? Is the AC going to stay on?
The grid's performing well. We've had a peak of yesterday, and we're really pleased with the performance of both the system in New York as well as in New England, and we feel confident that we're going to be able to handle this kind of load.
Let me ask you, in essence, is this heat wave providing demand for energy and electricity that the economic downturn would otherwise be sapping?
It certainly, there is an element of both the economy as well as the heat wave. I mean, ultimately, what you find as individuals, there's so much heat that you can take before you need to go over and flip the switch and get back to air conditioning and get comfortable. So what we're seeing is that's taking a much larger precedent, and people want to stay comfortable. Therefore, the utility requirements of electricity is certainly increasing. But again, we feel comfortable that we're going to meet that load and feel very comfortable with the performance of the system.
Okay, so are you seeing, though, and are you asking your customers to perhaps switch off the electricity a little bit more because there is such a peak demand during this week, this massive heat wave?
Absolutely. We've already reached out to our markets. We've asked for them to please bring up the thermostats, raise the temperature. That has a great deal of impact on reducing the overall load and the requirements on the system. And we're also reminding customers to turn the lights off if not necessary. And it's really important that we try to reach back up those thermostats, get to that 76, 78 degrees. That's a comfortable element to be in when you're looking at this kind of heat that's near 100 degrees. So we're seeing a reaction from the market, and that's a great indication that people are listening.
Now, we're looking at natural gas prices, we're looking at gasoline prices, and there's a lot of speculation out there about what this spike in the temperature is going to do to the underlying commodities. I know that you hedge your portfolio to a certain extent here to create some, flow to prices. Give me a sense of what you're expecting out of those markets.
We do hedge the portfolio, and that brings down the price shock and the price mitigation. It's absolutely the right thing to do. And ultimately, what we all need to be thinking about is energy policy, renewables, and really diversifying so we're not reliant on one or two fuels. We need to support nuclear, we need to support wind, and we need to support solar, and really as a nation move very quickly as soon as we can to renewable fuels that can fuel our requirements, because the demand for electricity isn't going to go away. We need to do what we can to try to clean it up, reduce the carbon, and support renewable development.
But when it comes to natural gas in particular, I mean, how much of a spike is it that you were counting on?
Natural gas is important, and that spike is not something that I think we're of concern. We've got prices hedged, which is absolutely the right place to be. Natural gas will continue to be an important fuel, and this will be a little bit of volatility in the market over these few days of the heat, but long-term natural gas prices seem to be very attractive.
I want to ask you about, as you're talking about alternative energies, wind, because I know that the Cape Wind project, anyone who vacations in Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard or vacations on the coast of Massachusetts knows this story well. But the wind farm there, you've already pledged to purchase half of the electricity produced from there. There are still regulatory challenges. There's still some opposition there. When do you expect to start tapping that?
We hope to get regulatory approval sometime in the second half of 2010. The reality of it is we need to diversify our fuels. We need to support renewables. We're continuing to hear from the marketplace. The wind project has well over 60% support. I think you're going to see regulatory support, and we're going to be in a position that we can start construction of that great, important project by the end of 2010.
So you expect the Cape Wind project to be up, you said, end of 2010?
The construction by the end of 2010 and in service by 2012, 2013.
All right. Thank you very much.